Welcome back, everyone. I hope this video is finding you well. We are having a very strange day here in Los Angeles. We are under now tropical storm warning, but let me tell you, yesterday getting notifications that a hurricane was headed towards Southern California. I've lived here all my life, and in all my 52 years, I've never, ever been warned of a hurricane where I live. So it's nothing compared to what people on the East Coast and the southern portion of the United States have endured, or in other parts of the world, but it kind of scared me. So I hope the video finds you well. It's about noon on Sunday, August the 20th. So hopefully nothing crazy or horrible happens. But that's the date that I'm creating this video. I'm obviously posting it later. Now on to collage, because collage makes you happy on a rainy day or a tropical storm day or whatever it may be. And I just want to share how I organize my ephemera. I do a lot of those minimal collages. So what I do is when I'm going through my magazines, books, and other things, I dedicate a folder to different content, like a minimal, and something that I think would go good in a minimal will go into that folder. I pulled out the minimal folder today, just playing with it and seeing what I can come up with. The other folder I have here is entitled Buddhas. And I don't have too much Buddha imagery, but we'll see. It's stuff that's related to Buddhism. Then forgive me if there are elements here that don't belong to Buddhism and they belong to another faith, but I just kind of put them into this folder because that's what they are reminiscent to me about. Hopefully I am correct. Another folder I brought out today in building a collage is patterns. Anything in here that's obviously reminiscent of a pattern, I will put it in there. Even if I'm not building a collage that day, I will go through my ephemera and say, well, this looks like a pattern. I want to use it later, and it goes into this folder, and it's easy for me to grab. So when I have everything organized in these folders and I'm ready to make a collage and I don't really have anything in mind, I just grab them randomly. Today it's Buddhas, minimals, and patterns, and food. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of food imagery going on in here. I also have one for cars, for buildings, also for body parts, which may sound a little bit Frankenstein-esque. This one is called Clean Cuts. It's unique unto me because they are those little cuts that we make, and we decide, you know what, I'm not going to do anything with this piece. I'm not going to use it in this collage. So I put it in here, and I can use it later. As you can see, though, and there's also some old collages in here that I did. But the problem with this is the way I have everything organized, they can get damaged. When you cut something delicate, later on you just throw it into the folder like I did, it can get a little scrunched up, and we don't want that. I will use old envelopes, or reuse those old envelopes to protect some of those delicate pieces. I put the clean cuts off to the side, and the other folder I brought out was mail. It's just guys, all about guys. And any image that has a male subject in it, I am going to throw it into this folder. My one for females is really extensive. So just grabbing anything and everything that looks interesting and male to me, and into the folder it shall go. I really love the filter on this image. So I'm not sure what I'm going to work with today, what I'm going to build. These are just some clear plastic sheets of ephemera that didn't find a home. I haven't organized it yet. I try really hard to organize my ephemera as much as I can. They are just floating around, so something that I definitely want to save. These would probably be something along the lines of minimal, and I want to protect them, and the plastic sleeve absolutely does the trick. So I am going to start thinking in time lapse and see what we are going to come up with this week. have these Versace ads. I think I have like 6 of them, and I quite honestly, I can't think of anything to do with this guy. So I just putting him off to the side, but I'm actually getting kind of tired of seeing him in this packet. Maybe I just need to remove him altogether. But also saying hello to some old friends. I know I did a video on this guy. One of my first videos was Cyclops. This one too, and I had a double, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was a video. It was kind of cool. And this guy too. This was also one of my first videos that I did here on the channel when I wasn't talking. I was just doing a lot of time lapse. So hello friends, I'm going to hang on to you, and you might show up in another video. So you probably noticed off to the side in the time lapse that I was putting several pictures of guys, and they're all focal points. They all can be focal points. Which ones am I going to use? I don't know. And are they going to end up in the collage? I don't know. I'm really very, very, very interested in this guy and this image of this woman. I think something's coming up here. I don't know what. It's slowly, the story is starting to form. And sometimes collage is about storytelling. I see these pictures and I start thinking of titles and I start thinking of scenarios, and it takes on a whole new approach. I don't try to fall in love with those ideas because they can rapidly take me into another direction that have nothing to do originally with what I thought of. So I'm going to set these possible focal points off to the side. So I have possible focal points that I'm going to choose from. I liked some of the images from my plastic folders, images that didn't have a home. Hey, you guys remember this King Tut piece? I still haven't used him. What am I going to do with him? Is he going to show up today? Probably not. I'm going to put him off to the side. I love him, but I'm not feeling it. And here's an interesting little landscape and a nice clean cut piece. All possibilities. Let's keep looking. So here is actually a minimal collage I want to say back maybe 2 years ago, and I did not protect it very well. I'll post the original image. I think it was called Seeking Happiness, and I really liked the piece, but I'll show you the image as it was as a minimal on the channel. And this is what happens, unfortunately. I put things into folders, or at least I can locate them, but they do get damaged. So to avoid this, just keep it in a plastic sleeve and all should be okay. It's not that I am attached to my work, but at the same time, I don't frame every piece and I don't keep every piece. And sometimes I have actually sold a couple pieces, which is always great. But mostly, they don't belong to me anymore once I make them and I move on. So I'm sorry that this got a little damaged, but it survives forever virtually. So I don't feel too bad about it, but I did like the piece. So I'm just going to put it away for now. I think I was also believing I was going to use portions of the collage, detach it, and maybe create a brand new collage. I can always kind of fix it by maybe flattening it between 2 books, but that is not my priority right now. So those are my clean cut pieces, and let's keep searching. I think I have enough ephemera chosen to start building, so I'm just going to do some very, very light housekeeping to just keep organized. My Buddha folder, I'm going to put it off to the side. I don't think I'm going to be using any Buddha imagery today. My patterns folder, I'm going to keep it nearby in case I feel I need to go back and get some more ephemera. My food folder, I'm probably going to put it in the pile with the Buddha folder and may not need anything more from it. But my clean cuts, I'm going to put my keen tut in my clean cuts because I don't want him to get hurt and I really do want to use him someday. So he's going into an envelope inside the folder, and I'm going to keep it nearby also because I may want something else from clean cuts. But I probably won't be going back to those images. And then my folder for mail, it's very messy because it's getting kind of stuffed, but they're all still together, and I will put them into the Buddha pile because I don't think I'm going to be using it. And my minimal folder, I'm going to keep that nearby just in case. Oh, and then my old friends here. I need to remember that I can post those old videos for you. Oh, this guy. We'll figure something out for him someday, maybe, or I just need a break from him. I just see him all the time, like, oh my gosh. So I'm going to put them all back into the mail folder. Whew. And we have a lot of ephemera to go through. I'm going to keep the plastic sleeves of just random images. I'm going to keep them nearby in case, again, I start feeling stumped, because sometimes being stumped, it means you need more ephemera, or you need to take ephemera out. And I always choose based on how I'm feeling and what feels good. I was definitely going into like an olive green, earthy brown direction, and I still might continue with that. So that color is provided by several vintage magazines with their ads and patterns. I feel drawn to that today, maybe because it's a gray, wet day here in LA. I like this also. Not sure about this, but I want to play with background in this image. I liked this green. Got some margarita green going on there. Okay, so as I was sharing before, we had several of the male images that I was playing with. I like this one because I like the way he looks like he's holding something, but I may want him to hold something else. So I'm very drawn to this. I mean, just his smile alone you want to work with, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use him this time. He may have to go back into the mail folder. These guys, I'm going to put them back off to the side too. I don't think it's going to work. Tommy Hilfiger. I did one, another one from this same ad campaign, but it wasn't this image. I can share that one also. I think it's called Tom Tom, not sure. I like this too. So yeah, I'm just kind of putting these off to the side. But the one that I shared with you was the gentleman with the hookah. I think it's what it was. I really think I want to use him. So all the possibilities are going to go off to the side. And I think a reason why I was drawn to the vintage greens and browns, olive, earthy tones, is because this is a vintage image from a National Geographic. So I believe that that's why I'm drawn to that palette right now. And because he's working with a hookah, I am feeling Genie in the Bottle type vibes. I think that's why I chose this female image also. But then I started grabbing other female images that could replicate the smoke from a genie bottle coming out. And fortunately, my minimal folder helped with that. This is a possibility, actually very much so, but I'm not in love with any of these images, so I'm going to put that off to the side. This one's great, but it might be too big. And then there are these really tiny ones, these little pictures. They act as sources for the index in magazines today, which is great. And then all these other smaller images too. And I love this one. This would be great for a genie, but I cut it off. And I think because I was trying to save this image, but this is the image I want. And that happens all the time. It may be a folder filled of images of men, but then I flip it onto the other side and I see something like this. I'm like, oh, I love it. And oh man, it's like I cut it off because I wanted specifically a specific male image. I really love this. I love this image of the Great Wall. This would be awesome. I like her too. I could get in trouble because she doesn't have clothes on. She's taking a shower. So I like them. I'm going to put them off to the side. I like this. I'm going to look at this again. Just keeping things off to the side. Whether or not I use them remains to be seen. But this is when I'm just doing my culling, as it were, of my collage stuff. But he's my focal point. He won the prize. I like these flowers. They're a nice contrast to the vintage olive green palette. And I love this image for a background, but I'm not sure if it's going to fit in today. Some more olive green imagery, this also. And we did bring in some food. I was drawn to these food images, not this one so much. This lobster too, just to be random and fun. And she would be great for a genie also. So she's going to go off to the side. Okay, so I had this honey dripper. I think that's what it's called. I've seen them. I've never used one. I've never had opportunity to use one. I'm sure it's a honey dripper. It's a little damaged from living in the folder for the past couple months, but I did cut it out, and I cut it out carefully, so I thought I was going to use it for something. Put that off to the side, and then this was some framing element. This might be kind of cool when I think of things like this, or even my original lady, my original genie. Maybe. See, I love when this kind of thing happens because it's kind of perfect. So we'll see. It may or may not happen. And another quick look-see. This is great, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use him. Vintage flowers. I love this. This is what makes me happy. When I find images of sculpture like this, oh my gosh, I just love it. I love going to see sculpture in museums, and I take a ton of pictures, but I'm not a photographer by trade, and sometimes I don't take the greatest pictures, so I can't use them in my images, but I think one day I will. I just need to get a better camera. So I'll put that off to the side too. And this guy, I originally thought he was going to be my focal point because he landed with our girl here, and it looked kind of cool, but I don't know. Maybe another collage. I don't know. They're off to the side. And of course, a clock. What is a Laura collage without a clock? Plenty. I've done plenty of them without them, but I'm always drawn to these clocks and to these worlds, the circles, the clocks. That's what makes me happy. Okay. I'm going to get back to time-lapse and get started with some building. A lot of delicate work for this little piece. Hopefully I use it for this image because, quite frankly, if I don't, it's so tiny and it's so secondary. It can't stand alone as a focal point, and I hope that helps the composition for this piece, because problems I've been having is focal points are fighting with each other in my collages. And I think she is small enough. The only thing is, I think she's too close to him. But it kind of works. I'm almost okay with it. I don't want her to be a focal point. She's coming out of the bottle or the hookah or whatever it might be. I don't know. I did a lot of cutting there just now, some good practicing. If it doesn't work, at least I got some good cutting practice in. So I like this too. But I may not be maybe in love with it, and it may not be working. So cut him out. I did originally like the Great Wall as a background, but I don't think it's gonna work because it gets covered up too much by him, by the focal point, by our hookah guy. So that may not work. And I have to deal with the text here. You know how much I love dealing with text. I like transforming my images as much as possible. So it may not make an appearance. I don't know. I was thinking about that. I liked also having him sit on this strange, oh, where did it go now? Well, anyway, it was the larger version of this, and I had him sitting on it. Maybe I should have him sitting on the smaller version. That looks actually kind of interesting. They both came from National Geographic. And our genie girl, conscience type person. Here was the original background I thought about using. Oh, not too bad. It's okay. You could see I sound thrilled. I sound thrilled about that. Then there was our margarita. And then remember too, I was talking about these earthy tones. I don't know. I'm gonna think some more. Well, that went into an entirely different direction than I thought it would go. I wanted genies coming out of bottles, and I did some very delicate cuts of some genies or some models, and I'm not using any of them. Again, ran into the issue of composition, too many focal points. Having a bunch of little images of genie girls just wasn't working for me. So I think this is going to be it, and here we are on a Sunday, and I'm thinking about calling this something about Sunday. And he's just in a dreamscape and hanging out with his statue mistress and this fun little sunflower. I put the sunflower here because there's a little activity going on here, and it maybe needs it, does it? I don't know. Maybe I'll do one with and without, because that's the beauty of this. And I'm wondering how much more of his hookah I need to cut away, if any. I'll let you guys know in the final image, I guess. But I'm going to go ahead and put him together. I think we got enough of the Great Wall here to have a really nice background. And enough of this margarita. That looks good. But it's Sunday, so I'm going to not have a margarita, though, gosh, it looks and sounds so fun right now. Let's go ahead and put this couple together. So that is my Sunday afternoon collaging. This came out a lot more different than I thought it was going to be. Started out with ideas of genies in bottles, earthen tones, vintage design patterns, and ended up with this instead. See what happens with collage? You never know what you're going to end up with. You start out with one idea and come up with something else. And that's what I really love about it. It's different. I may have to sleep on it to decide whether or not I really love it. Just ask my editor, because I always walk away from a project. Well, not always, but I'll walk away from a project and I'll be like, I don't know about that. So we'll go in for a closer look, give you an idea of some of the details. I hope you had a good time. I certainly did. I hope you are safe wherever you are, because it's starting to get really rainy out there. So I'm going to turn off the camera in a second, and I bid you adieu, and I will see you next time.